Ladies and gentlemen, the day is finally upon us. If anyone builds it, everyone dies has been published today. Not in the UK, of course, only in America. We've got to wait a couple more days to get our physical copies over here. I've got my beer. It's Tuesday evening. I've got my microphone attached to a European plug because we're going continental today because that's how we like it. And yeah, we're just going to have a little chat about the book, about its release, about what I hope it can accomplish. I've got this set up. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, fucking modern technology, mate. It's absolutely brilliant. They've got billboards. They've got billboards up in probably San Francisco. I don't actually know where this is, but I assume San Francisco. We wish we were exaggerating. It's a very good tagline. I hope it can sell the book or at least pique people's interest who are driving past it. The biggest talking point of the book before it came out was the cover. Now, some people didn't like the cover. I was not as down on it as other people were, but the UK cover got a little bit of a redesign. This is the American cover as it is in all of its glory. This is the cover that we're getting in the UK. I do think that's a bit of an improvement. I think it looks pretty sexy with the red escape key. But we can see here one of the authors, Nate Soares, doing some beautiful modelling in front of the book on the shelves in the shops. It is here, ladies and gentlemen. It's ready to go. Now, Leron Shapiro went out on the streets with the book. And he dressed up as the Grim Reaper. But I watched this interview earlier and it was good. It was good, the street interview.
Buy this book and be aware of what's going to happen with AI.
Do you worry that AI will become smarter and more powerful than humanity?
Yes,
I don't think it's going to become smarter. I think it's become ignorant, but it is going to take over.
I do think people pretty much across the board are worried that it may take over. And all of the polling shows that we've had so far, that most people are just genuinely worried about that. And I think it's just very obvious how that could happen to most people. You don't need a degree in machine learning. You don't have to have read the sequences to understand that. Most people are just worried about that.
It is going to take over. In how many years?
10
years.
If that.
Okay, do you think more
People on the street are saying 10 years till AI takeover. That's a pretty accurate reflection of the aggregate opinion of experts, or well, an aggregate opinion of the data which artificial general intelligence will arrive. There have been a few polls on this, and I think people said in 2023 that AGI would be here by 2028 in a poll. Yeah, people do see AI's improving capabilities, and they are worried about it, and they do think that it will potentially become smarter than we are very soon.
There's a New York Times best-selling book that you can read. It's called "If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies." Do you think people should pick up a copy?
What's it about?
It's about how building artificial intelligence is literally going to kill everybody in about 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you personally think that we are all going to be dead in 5 years?
I think 10 years, but yes.
10 years. So you expect to be dead. Do
I
you?
don't think we're going to be dead, but
We're going to be close to death.
I think it's almost going to be like a second government. Like, we're going to be controlled by all these AI robots, and if we don't do what they say, we're going to have huge problems. Yeah.
Do you think it's worth spreading the word about this particular book?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Buy this book, people.
So I don't know if Leron is being paid by Miri to shill the book, but he's doing a bloody good job of it on the streets. But yeah, again, I think that answer, I don't know if it will kill us, but there will be very extreme consequences. I think this is also fairly typical. People are maybe skeptical of claims of extinction because it is a very extreme outcome, whether it's wishful thinking or fairly reasonable skepticism. I think people are somewhat skeptical of that claim. I personally am not at all. People are worried about AI takeover and they want politicians to do something about it. So the book has already generated a lot of media coverage. Yudkowsky and Soares have been on a lot of podcasts. By the way, I don't know if his name is pronounced Soares or Soares or Soares. I'm not sure, but I'm going to say Soares because it's easier. But this is one of the first articles I think that came out on the book by Kevin Roos in the New York Times. That they also did a podcast with Yudkowsky and Soares. So one of the first points made in the article is that about kind of Yudkowsky's reputation in AI circles. Obviously it's undeniable the influence that he's had. Some people do dismiss his ideas. Personally, I'm yet to hear a kind of robust dismissal that allows me to stop worrying about the issue. And I've said repeatedly that I would love for someone to make a case for why Yudkowsky is wrong, why alignment is easy, why we're not going to get to superintelligence soon, any of those things, to allow me to stop worrying about what may happen to my family and everyone else on Earth. It then moves on to a bit of a kind of personal profile of Yudkowsky and about, you know, how he first became interested in AGI and his transition from wanting to build it to realizing that making, you know, friendly AI, aligned AI is actually really hard, and that, you know, his position now and for a fair amount of time now has been that no one should build it because no one on earth knows how to make it safe, and we are quite a long way away from having the ability to do that. So then the article gets into Kevin Rue's kind of questioning the claims in the book and that Yudkowsky makes more broadly. Haven't there been some strides made in mechanistic interpretability? Yudkowsky has a reply about whether, you know, recent changes in physics change people's view on gravity. Yeah, there has been progress made on alignment research and made on mechanistic interpretability research, but Yudkowsky points out, and many other people point out, that it's so far behind the capabilities of AI that it's losing ground year on year. Control AI released a very good video recently that had a clip from Dario Amadei that in which he said that we currently understand like 3% of how neural networks and large language models work. AI lobbyists have lied about this, because this is the fact that we don't understand how AI models work under the bonnet is like so obviously scary to everyone, including politicians. And AI lobbyists know that. They want to claim to politicians that we've got this technology under control. If you allow us to build it in America, it will be able to further America's values. Of course, the truth is they have no fucking idea how to control it, or they don't have any deep understanding of how they work or how to guide their values in such a way that would lead them to do things that are good for us. And A16Z and others actually wrote a letter to the US government and to the British government saying that the black box problem of AI had been solved, that the mechanistic interpretability had been solved. That's just a complete lie. There's no other way of looking at that claim. AI lobbyists want you to think, want politicians to think that they have this under control. The reality is that they don't. They've got no fucking idea what they're doing. The only thing they know how to do is how to make their models more powerful and more capable at a wider range of tasks. We're rapidly approaching models that will be able to surpass human capability in a wide range of fields, yet we have no idea how to control them, right? That's the main reason why we should not continue to allow AI companies to continue progressing the capabilities of their models, right? So with nuclear weapons, for example, we can debate whether it's good that they're in the world. There are some who argue that it's made the world safer through mutually assured destruction. There are some who argue it's made the world less safe through the drastically increased chance of annihilating everyone. Imagine if the researchers at Los Alamos were saying to the government, yeah, like, we know how to make these nuclear weapons really powerful. Like, we just give them more nuclear material. I don't know how nuclear weapons work, really. But at the same time, they said, yeah, we basically have no idea, like, how they work internally. We just know how to make a really big boom, and we don't know how to make sure that they won't explode without the American president pressing the big red button. It would be shut down instantly. But that's the scenario we find ourselves in with AI. Then Kevin Roos asks Yudkowsky about, other more immediate, concrete harms of AI, like job loss, AI psychosis. Yudkowsky replies with, well, what if the people developing nuclear weapons spent all their time worrying about radiation poisoning for those working with nuclear material? Even if we leave aside the existential threat for a while, like, job loss is going to be a huge problem, and a far greater problem than radiation poisoning was in the 1920s. The existential worries are distracting from the near-term worries has been a talking point since the Porter letter came out and since the statement on the threat of extinction from AI came out. My kind of response the whole time, and many others, especially at Pause AI, has been like, well, it doesn't have to be a distraction. We can tackle many problems at once. So then he asks, what about the good things that AI can do? And this is a common question in narrow applications of AI, especially in healthcare. There's a huge number of benefits to be had. There are also some AI optimists who want us to get to superintelligence as quickly as possible because they believe it's going to be able to solve aging, solve all of our diseases, solve climate change, solve all of our problems. I'm not here to say that it wouldn't be able to, but the key question is, would it want to? Right? That's the question. If we haven't figured out how to make it want to help us, want to solve our problems, then why would it spend its resources doing so? And the next question refers to the hunger strikes that have happened outside Google DeepMind in London and outside Anthropic in San Francisco. I myself was outside Google DeepMind with Dennis and Michael. Dennis is still going on his hunger strike. I think he's on day 10 now. He brings this up in like a broad question about how claims that AI may cause human extinction may lead people to do silly things. I don't think hunger strikes are silly things. They don't harm anyone else. It's a very costly action that an individual can take to draw attention to the issue, and I fully support all of the 3 people who have been on hunger strikes so far. In terms of committing acts of violence, this link goes to an article about the Zizians, which was a weird cult that had ties to Russianism. Now, obviously, illegal acts of violence are wrong. Not only are they wrong in and of themselves because they hurt people, and it's wrong to hurt people, but they also don't help anything. Terrorism is not a good method to further your aims in the world. It turns people against you. It's just stupid. And Yudkowsky has never advocated for that. So here in this part of the article, we get to Kevin Roos's reason that he doesn't fully agree with Yudkowsky. He does think that the chance of human extinction is between 5 and 10% from AI, which is still really bad. I would not get on a plane if they told me there was a 10% chance that I would die if I got on it. So just because of that, we should stop. I also think that the chance of extinction is far higher than that, as does Yudkowsky. But so one of the reasons he is less worried is that he doesn't think AI alignment is a lost cause. He doesn't provide any reason for why he thinks that's the case. Now, obviously, I don't necessarily expect him to. This is an article about the book. He doesn't have the space to go into detailed arguments about his views on alignment. Right now, there's not a single researcher at an AI company who can sit you down and say, yeah, I'm making this technology that will be incredibly powerful, and here's my plan to make sure that it won't kill your family. There's not a single AI researcher who can do that. That's the state of play, and that's why we should stop. Now, of course, there's a debate about how far away we are from solving alignment and how much more work there is to be done. Now, I do not have a fully fleshed out view on this. I'm not knowledgeable enough, not also be intelligent enough, and it's also very difficult to reason about. But even if you think with 5 years more alignment research, then there's a decent chance we will solve the problem. Well, it seems obviously true to me that if you had 10 years, well, P alignment goes up. There's just more time to do the alignment research. It's difficult to argue against slowing down. He also says that he worries less about Terminator style takeovers and more about the mundane ways AI could steer us towards disaster. Again, the mundane ways AI could steer us towards disaster are still bad, and we should attempt to address them. Also, Terminator style takeovers is misrepresentation. I'm sure Kevin Roos is aware of that, and he's doing it for stylistic reasons. But I think that may actually be representative of some underlying interpretation of the views of Yudkowsky and others. And it is this based on these kind of sci-fi assumptions. It's not. It's simply that AI will continue to get more powerful if AI companies are allowed to make them more powerful, and we don't know how to steer their goals in such a way that will allow for human flourishing, and therefore they probably will not allow for human flourishing. Just as when we go out and build things and do things that we want, oftentimes we don't allow for the flourishing of other sentient beings on this planet. Then Kevin Roos says, I think there is essentially no chance of stopping AI through international treaties and nuclear weapon level controls on AI chips. The reason he thinks this is that Duma has become a pejorative in Washington. Now, I think this is just obviously so pessimistic. Donald Trump is capable of understanding that superintelligent AI could kill him and his family. So is Xi Jinping, so is Keir Starmer. Movements for changes in regulation and changes in law often look unwinnable from the start. The changes required to get there are often small, are often unnoticeable, but they can happen. The main problem I have with this is that the probability of succeeding in getting a kind of international treaty is directly influenced by how likely people think it is, right? If everyone knew that everyone else thought that this was a feasible thing and if it was likely to come to pass, then they would be far more willing to put the work in to do it. And statements like this that say there's no chance of stopping it, first of all, it's just wrong. That there is a chance, but it also has an effect on the chance of it succeeding. And I hope when people do these kinds of assessments of the chance of success of an international treaty, I hope they're thinking about the effect that their assessment has on the real world likelihood of it happening and how that affects their own chances of survival. And yeah, listen, it is true that the current Trump administration, unfortunately, is set on accelerating AI, and they have bought into the race against China narrative. But things can change. Trump is not an individual that has worldviews that are set in stone. He is very malleable. If there were a grassroots movement from maybe MAGA people against AI, which there are already plenty of signs that there may be, Trump is not loyal to this current paradigm of regulation or lack of regulation on AI. That's what I hope to do. That's what many other people hope to do, is letting ordinary people know that their lives are threatened by the way this technology is being developed. There is influence that can be had from the bottom to the top on this. Trump is not immune to listening to his voter base at all. Also, in about 2 years' time, we'll have another US election. Maybe Donald Trump is not the person in charge by that point. There are other people involved in politics. That there are plenty of ways things can change. So this pessimism is unfounded. Yes, right now, if we only had 1 month left until superintelligent AI was going to come, then yeah, I would basically completely agree with this pessimism. I think there would be next to a 0% chance of a kind of international treaty because of the current ways that the world leaders view AI and their kind of lack of engagement with the existential threat. The reality is that we don't have only a month left. The kind of mainline predictions from experts are at least a few years away, right? So we have time. This pessimism will unfortunately have some influence on the likelihood of a treaty. It's up to us to override it with optimism, with clear statements about why an international treaty is not only possible, but is needed, and why it would benefit every single person on the planet, including Kevin Roose himself, including all of the world leaders, including Eliezer Yudkowsky, including me, including you. I've obviously mainly focused on criticising the article there. It did have a somewhat of a reasonable reflection of Yudkowsky views. It wasn't entirely negative. There are many other articles that you can find, many other book reviews that are on a spectrum of positive to negative, and there will be plenty more to come, as this is just the first day of the book's public release. One of the last points made in the article is that maybe they deserve some credit for putting their cards on the table when so many politicians are talking about maximizing the benefits and minimizing the risks. If and when the public become more informed of this, and they become increasingly worried for their families and increasingly angry at AI companies for what they're doing, and again, it's our job as people who are aware of this now to inform everyone else of this threat. Yeah, I think they are going to look at someone like Keir Starmer, who says, we need to minimize the risk and maximize the benefits. And they're going to say, what the fuck are you talking about? My children may be killed because of what AI companies are doing. Protect me. Do your job as a leader. Once people are aware, politicians are not going to be able to get away with sitting on the fence, not engaging with the issue, not being willing to take action to protect the public, because the public are going to be crying out for that. The polling shows that they already support international regulation. They already support bans on superintelligence. They already support slowing down the race. As this becomes an increasingly important issue in the political debates around the world, these kinds of comments are just not going to fly. We need people like Eliezer Yudkowsky and Nate Soares and others to say the simple truth that we have no idea how to control AI, yet AI companies are racing towards superintelligence anyway, and that threatens the life of everyone on Earth. It's an understandable point. Politicians must understand it. They must be willing to look beyond the traditional political discussions of economic growth and be willing to understand that their children's lives are at risk because of what AI companies are doing. Once they do, then we can start to see some progress towards an international treaty. And if they read this book, I hope that will massively help with politicians coming to understand that. In some of the supplementary materials of the book, especially towards the end, they point people to a website where people can take action. So one way they point people to take action is through calling or sending a letter or sending an email to their politician. Now, I think this page only works for Americans, unfortunately, but this is one of the things that the people at Control AI have been doing. This is one of the things that we at Pause AI have been doing, is helping ordinary people to contact their politicians, let them know that they're worried about this, that they want their politicians to take action. The AI safety movement in general has been reluctant to engage ordinary people because of their, the kind of epistemic standards of rationalness. And of course, it is true that once an issue becomes a popular movement, then epistemic standards do reduce, and that is an issue. But for better or for worse, ordinary people understanding this, getting on board, even if they don't have the perfect understanding of why AI is dangerous, the fact that their children's lives are threatened by what AI companies are doing suggests that rationalists shouldn't be sticking to their forums and having lengthy discussions about AI. Ordinary people deserve to understand that their lives are threatened by this. They need to be engaged. They need to be informed. And I think that is one of the key ways that we are going to get political action on this. When politicians know that everyone in their constituency is worried about this and they are willing to vote them out if they do not take action on this, then hopefully we're going to be able to see political action. I'm very, very happy that Yudkowsky and Soares have a couple of chapters towards the end on what ordinary people can do about this. But one of the other links they point to in the book is a link to a march. And us at Pause AI, we have been doing protests for a couple of years now. Stop AI has also been doing protests. Again, a problem with rationalism is that the vibes of protest and the vibes of rationalism aren't easily aligned. I think, for better or for worse, protests, mass demonstrations of people showing their politicians, showing other ordinary people that this is something to take seriously, that this is something we need to act on. I think they are to some extent needed if we're going to get political action. So the curious thing about this march is that it will only go ahead if you sign up and 99,999 other people sign up. Rationalists in general, there has been some reluctancy to go on protest themselves. Or, obviously it's true that 100,000 strong march would be almost infinitely more impactful than a protest with 50 people. But I still think protests with 50 people can be hugely impactful. They can generate media coverage, local media coverage. 100,000 strong march in Washington, D.C. would be fucking huge. I would go to this. I would encourage everyone else to go to this. Whether or not we'll reach that number, I don't know. But I encourage you to sign up to this if you're near DC or are able to go to DC if there was a protest this large. Maybe the 100,000 target is slightly too ambitious, at least in the near term. I'm not going to say no. I think there is absolutely a chance that it could get to those numbers if the book has a huge impact and if the risk of AI extinction in general has increased publicity in the coming months. Sign up to this if you can. We want a global treaty that stops AI companies being able to develop more powerful models. Because if we don't have that, there is a significant chance that all of us die. If this book can have a huge impact, if this book can generate a huge degree of media coverage, if it can allow Yudkowsky and Soares and others to go on podcasts, to go on the radio, to go on TV, if it can allow more people to hear about it on social media, more people to talk about it, if more ordinary people read the book, if they talk about it with their friends, if they talk about their family and their colleagues at work, all of those things happening, and the more it happens, the better, can have a huge impact on the likelihood of us getting the regulation that we need. I hope to God that it can have the impact it needs. If you haven't bought the book yet, go and buy it, go and read it, talk about it with your mates, talk about it online. If you haven't joined Pause AI yet, come and join me. Do any of the other thousands of things that you can do to help here. But yeah, I wanted to get a quick video out on book release day. I'll also be doing a book review if I get around to it. Also in Pause AI, we're doing a host of events to kind of celebrate the launch of the book, allow people to hear a few passages of the book and come together and meet people who are worried about the extinction threat of AI, allow them to come together to take action, because it's not easy hearing that your family may be killed in the near future, and it's difficult to deal with mentally, and that often leads to, of course, denial or putting it to the back of your mind. But the best thing you can do, believe me on this, is take action, is begin to do what you can, which is all you can ever do, to inform others of this and make it more likely that humanity is going to choose the sensible option, that we're not going to be stupid enough to sleepwalk into annihilation. We don't have to do that. There is still time to turn this around. And the more people speaking up about this, the more likely it is that we're going to choose the good path. I hope you can join me in doing that. I hope wherever you are, you're having a good day. I hope you get a chance to read the book if you haven't yet. And I'll see you in the next video if you want to watch it.